guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Write it down. You like writing things down. Write this down.
Write that down. Write that down. I don't have a pencil. Well, remember that then.
Here it is, the OG version of Write That Down. The only show dating back to like 2015, the only show in America that actually keeps track of our predictions with statistics. Right here, career suicide every single week, showing you might think, oh, these guys get paid to talk about sports. They're probably right like 80 or 90% of the time, right? No.
Still employed. It's a miracle. Christmas miracle. Every year.
Yeah. It's not about being right. It's about being mildly entertaining. Really, that's what this.
Very mild, like.
Yeah. No, I don't go to a tax accountant and say, you always screw up your stuff. You always screw up my car if you're a car mechanic. Like, no, I don't do that to you.
Well, maybe I would say if your accountant is screwing up your taxes, you should go to them.
Yeah,
and say,
you should be
that's
like
different.
all
Bad
over
example.
them.
But you know what
In
I
fact,
mean.
if your accountant, hey, it's
What's
not
the
about
card
being
of it?
right. It's about being entertaining.
Boom.
No, you're my
That's right.
accountant. I need you to be
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Declan just picked the opposite example, actually, of what you would look to do. And your mechanic, too. If your mechanic's screwing up, dude, fix my car. But I'm entertaining. I'm a mechanic. I'm entertaining.
Get a new mechanic then. Just get rid of that mechanic. I found this week that the haters have come in the form of Timberwolves fans who are policing who can talk about the Wolves now. I've gotten a bunch of notes about you can't talk about. I don't even want you talking about my team. It's like, dude, I've been watching this team since '89.
But they've been my team since D'Lo got here.
But it's my get out. You're talking about my team. Don't talk about my team, dude. I was there at the first game. Okay.
Judd literally has a notebook from the first ever
season.
Timberwolves.
But that's my team, and I'm 18 years old. Yeah,
you should start to clap back at them and literally show them the receipts of. Wait a second, it's your team. It was my team in the 1980s, guy.
Tony Campbell's my guy. Sam Mitchell, Scott Roth.
So, okay, here's how this works on Write That Down. 3 predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of batting averages and home runs. And listeners, if you want to participate like Brandon is about to, you can send Declan a message through the Score North app, and we'll get you all set up here. So if we could pop this up on the screen for the YouTube audience, we'll go through the accountability session, starting with Judd. Only one thing came off the board, and it was a hit for Judd. You said Naz Reid will play more minutes than Cat in a game at some point. Oh, you know what? You said at some point in the month of November.
Oh, I was going to say.
Oh, that part got cut off on my spreadsheet.
Oh, no.
It happened against Dallas like a week and a half ago or a week ago.
No, I meant December.
He played 16 more seconds than Cat in a game against Dallas.
Yeah, no, I meant December. Yeah, you're going to have to redo that.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna have to change this. I'm sorry, Judd.
Oh, boy. Oh.
I will comb through the box scores because Basketball Reference gives the minutes and seconds.
I don't know if I can participate anymore. I'm crestfallen.
And it didn't I think the spirit of your prediction was awfully negative. It was like Cat's going to be benched and Nas is going to be that. We know that was the spirit of your prediction.
You said it, I believe, after the Celtics game when Cat had the last clunker. And Nas
I'm celebrating one of the most popular guys in Minnesota, in Naz Reid, and you're saying I'm being negative.
You don't get to. Here's the thing: you don't get to talk about Karl Anthony Towns until you apologize to Karl Anthony Towns first. Yeah, that's the new rule on this show.
I've actually got a text in. I'm trying to find him so that I can personally apologize.
I'm not allowed actually to cover anything Twins related till I walk up to Griffin Jackson and admit I was wrong.
Yeah, Griffin, and how dare that I was in the locker room celebrating the division title with Carlos Correa when I hated on him. How dare I do that?
You guys are lashing out at just like anonymous Twitter accounts right now.
It's just hilarious because it's funny. Because it's funny. All right.
Okay, I said Rudy Gobert will have at least 35 combined points, rebounds, and blocks in a bounce-back game against the Mavericks. He had a good game, but not quite that good. That was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, really tough week here. Josh said Mike Conley and the Wild's top line will combine for at least 10 assists in Thursday's game. Well, Conley only had 3 assists, and then I think the Wild only had like 3 total assists in that game too, including like, the hockey assist, the secondary assist.
Gotcha.
Nate said Jordan Addison would not record a catch in 6 games this season, and the Vikings would be a top 20 defense in yards per play. You got the defense part right, but Jordan Addison has not been held over that many times. Zach said Jalen Naylor will finish top 3 in receiving yards for the Vikings this year. Mathematically, going to be tough. Unless you think he's going for 1,000 yards in the last 3 games, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's happening.
Fair enough.
And then Declan with a tough week here. You said Kaprizov would score at least 4 goals within the last week.
Too short.
He had, I thought he had maybe 1 short, or is it
he hadn't
2
scored
short?
too short.
Okay.
Hadn't scored in 6 games till last night when he scored 2.
Mm-hmm.
You said Polanco would be traded by December 15th.
They didn't. Oh man, this last one they didn't even sniff.
You said the Twins would have reported interest in Tyler Glasnow. I mean, you could have said the Twins would have reported interest in literally anybody and still would be wrong.
Thank you. Appreciate the kick.
The Glasnow thing.
No, it's a kick in the Twins.
Yeah, don't take it personally.
I mean, both of them are. I mean, it works both ways. It's like a double punch on both sides here.
I feel like he got offended there, and he was.
No, I'm
punching the Twins.
No, I'm offended at the Twins, and I'm offended that my write that down batting average is plummeting. So I wasn't lashing out at Phil. I'm lashing out at the.
I am not an anonymous Twitter troll, you guys. I am your friend.
Phil just ripped away a point from me, and I'm not mad at Phil. It's not his fault.
I'm mad at the. Write that down, guys.
I think you're mad at Phil, but that's great.
Judd, your batting average is actually 316 with the correction.
Yeah, it is what it is, Phil.
Listeners at 290, Declan at 278, I'm at 258. Listeners have 10 home runs, I have 10 home runs, so we're tied for the home run lead. Nice. Judd with 9 home runs, Declan with 8 home runs. So this is still pretty tight, still pretty up in the air here with the Write That Down season running through the Super Bowl, gentlemen.
Incredibly low still, huh?
What?
The averages?
Yeah, usually we have someone flirting with like 400 deep in the season, a couple guys over 300.
This might be it for us.
Yeah, it's still pretty tightly wound, like within 60 points.
Do you think they'd whack us in January or wait till February?
I'd wait till February just to let the holidays pass a little bit.
And you got to replace
people have their January. Declan batting 360 all time, Judd 328. Listeners and myself at 266 all time. Judd recently with his 300th career hit. Listeners lead with 52 home runs all time here. So, all right, let's get Brandon in the room. He is our guest listener participant. Brandon with the Adrian Peterson photo. We were talking about that before the show. Yeah, when's your first Minnesota sports memory? When did you get hooked? Oh, we got to unmute Brandon there.
Just gotta unmute yourself, Brandon. On the site.
There we go. I just pulled a Judd. My bad.
Yeah, you did pull a Judd. I was gonna say you just pulled a me. Don't feel bad about it.
No shame whatsoever, except for the lighting. But yeah, looks like I'm going to heaven.
Yeah, you are. You're going to Minnesota sports heaven here. When did you become a Minnesota sports fan?
09 Vikings, sadly, as probably everyone. Yeah, watch a little bit of 07, 08, but I don't really remember that a whole lot.
Yeah. So did you get hooked right at the start of the season, or was it the Greg Lewis catch? Was it
start of the season? Probably when Brett Favre's was it I don't remember the limousine that was pulling up through the
black SUV.
Oh,
yeah, that's what it was.
Brad Childress, Caribou Coffee
the
Cup.
Airport, put his reclinable seat all the way down so people couldn't see him waiting, and waited on the tarmac.
Yep.
Yeah.
If we could just
and then did the John Krasinski thing of straightened up.
If we could just can the seat go back?
How does this thing go back?
Tahi, Dugan.
12-minute huddle. Let's get that 12-minute huddle.
So Brandon, we're gonna start with you, and then we're gonna go Judd, Declan, me. We'll make 3 trips around the room. Are you ready to fight for Write That Down glory here, Brandon?
I hope so. Make my family proud.
Yes, please do.
Write this down.
So you're first out of the gate, man. What's your first prediction?
All right, I'm going to dabble in college football, and Alabama will win the national championship.
Okay.
So they're going to beat Michigan. People have been stealing play calls, stealing the signs.
Yeah.
And they will beat them.
So they're going to prove that they deserve this.
Yes, that's basically my prediction, is that they, basically deserve it over Florida State.
And didn't Nick Saban work for Bill Belichick back in Cleveland like 35 years ago?
Yeah,
so if anyone knows how to steal signs or pull shenanigans, I don't think Nick has needed to bust that out because he's always just had like better teams. But he's like, you know what? Let me call my old friend Bill. If Jim's gonna pull a fast one, then I'm gonna call someone. I'm gonna call the OG of shady activities.
Yep.
All right. Here's my write that down. I'm building up
Write
to.
this down.
I think my last one is going to be, it's going to be, let's just say, astounding. But here's my first.
Okay.
The first is this. Cole Kramer will account for 3 or more touchdowns, so passing or rushing, in the Gophers bowl game against Bowling Green. So Cole Kramer, who put his life on hold, he was going to go get married after the Wisconsin game. He was going to go on with his life. He had a fun time as a backup, hadn't played, and he's not going to start because the Gophers don't have a quarterback. He will account for 3 or more touchdowns.
Okay. Don't give PJ 3 weeks to prepare for a bowl opponent too. That's my
Bowling
advice.
Green's going to take it on the chin. We're going to go make a statement.
PJ Fleck revenge game. Okay, Declan's first prediction.
All right, I'm going to make a Wolves prediction here. So the Lakers are in town tomorrow night, I believe, right? Wolves and Lakers.
Yes, right. Yep.
Yeah,
Thursday.
they play each other twice. They play they're home against the Lakers tomorrow, and then they're actually home against the Lakers twice between now and the end of the year. They have 2 Lakers home games on the 21st and the 30th.
Why wouldn't
See
they
the
just
Wolves?
make that a back-to-back so the Lakers can just stay in town? Because they do that sometimes. That's what like when the Wolves go to Portland, usually that's what they do.
Yep.
It's kind of a weird deal.
So I'm going to make a prediction on tomorrow's game specifically. So the Wolves will beat the Lakers tomorrow, and Anthony Edwards will finish with more points than LeBron.
Ooh, spicy.
So they'll beat the Lakers,
go.
That's
and
good.
Ant will finish with more points than LeBron James. Write it down.
Kind of a diet nationally televised game. It's on NBA TV on Thursday night.
I don't count. Do you count those? I don't count those.
That's awfully
I don't count those
disrespectful,
league.
you know?
Those league networks don't count.
It's
It's
the
like the
Coke
Wild
Zero
on
version.
NHL Network on Saturday afternoon. Bleep you. That's not a nationally televised game.
Tonight's the same thing. The Sixers game is on NBA TV. You know,
It doesn't.
you can't find
Do
a
they
couple
send
hours on
their
ESPN.
people, or is that just like picked up from the Sixers feed? Because it'll be blacked out here.
That's a good question. I don't know if NBA TV did used to send it'd be like Matt Weiner and whoever else is out.
Your name's Matt Weiner, by the way. Okay, just stick with your name.
Dude,
Your name's Matt Weiner.
when he was on ESPN, it used to be spelled Wiener.
Yeah, he was Weiner.
And then, they put Wiener on the screen enough times and he's probably getting. So he took the E out of his last name, but we know, dude.
Just go with your mom's maiden name or something, or your middle name. Like, you don't have to. There's TV casters who don't go by their actually legal name. Just pick a different
most of
name.
them don't.
Most of them don't. It's amazing I do.
Except for Matt.
Yeah, except for Matt.
It's
Except
amazing.
for Judd, Matt, and Declan.
Judd Zolgad. I was told.
What's your real name?
Judd's been hiding it all these years.
I know a guy
It's
at my
Judd Wiener.
workplace 30 years ago. I showed up one day. He had sent a note out to the company, to his coworkers, because he got home one day and his family basically said, we have to change our last name. We don't like our last name. And so he just did it.
That's great. I think, just because you have like family lineage. The problem is, the Wieners weren't getting social media hecklers back in like the 1700s or they're out like in the
Wiener really that
1300s.
bad,
they're
though?
hunting for like
There's worse
animals to
names.
feed their family. No one
There's
cares.
worse last names than Wiener.
Oh, some
Far
of them.
worse.
This might air on the radio, so some of them we probably shouldn't say for FCC purposes. But oh yeah, okay. Write this down. The Golden Gophers of Minnesota not only will win the Quick Bowl or the Quick Lane Bowl. That's what it's called, right? The Quick Lane Bowl.
Quick lamp.
Quick Lane? What's that? That's like
Car?
vehicle service, car
Like a service.
services,
Yeah,
oil
service.
changes and stuff.
Yeah.
So they'll win the Quick Lane Bowl, the Quick Lane Championship. They'll go 1-0 in Quick Lane Bowl championship season. And they will dump Gatorade on PJ Fleck. But I want to leave it open. Like they could dump some. Well, do they dump motor oil? It's the Quick Lane Bowl, right? They dump some oil on him. They're going to dump
Like a
a bucket of
liquid?
something. They'll dump a bucket of something in celebration on PJ Fleck.
Like a liquid.
Probably a liquid.
Because probably not confetti.
Like the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl, they're dumping mayonnaise on people.
The Pop-Tart Bowl is an edible Pop-Tart. A guy's dressed as like an edible Pop-Tart. You hear about that one?
he's dressed as an edible Pop-Tart?
Yeah, Google it. It's been all the rage on Purple Daily on Draft. Miles is absolutely repulsed by it, and Forno thinks it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to a bowl game.
The team just jumps in and starts
You know
eating
what?
this guy's cat. It's my arm. It's my arm.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. Given those two and their personalities,
Yeah.
it totally makes sense that Forno would love it and Miles would not.
Forno for sure eats Pop-Tarts, right? 100%. And I mean
No,
that like
crushes.
endearingly. Crushes Pop-Tarts.
Crushes
And
Pop-Tarts.
There are Pop-Tarts that are better toasted and frozen. The strawberry Pop-Tart, freeze that
Frozen?
sucker. Don't put it in
Really?
the toaster. Yep. That's
I
yours.
love this idea.
Frozen Pop-Tarts.
I love this idea.
Game
Good
changer.
That's your Pop-Tart take.
I think we're back to Brandon here for his second
right, Brandon.
prediction.
Write this down.
I remembered to unmute myself this time. All right. The Vikings will re-sign Kirk Cousins and draft a quarterback in the first round.
Okay.
So-
that would seem to be a pretty good path forward to make sure you've
Yeah.
got a good quarterback room, right?
Off the record, though, I do think the Vikings will go 1-2. Probably get like what you said yesterday on Purple Daily, that the Vikings will get like a top 10 pick. I think they'll draft like a tackle if like the first two guys are gone, and if they like the other four, draft a tackle and then trade up back into the first round with like maybe trading Brian O'Neill. I know you guys brought up Darisaw, but trade Brian O'Neill up. And
Yeah,
then
Judd wanted, he was
Unless you draft
pushing for
Michael
that trade.
Penix, in which case Brian O'Neill's your blindside protector.
Dude, how about
That
that?
too.
But wouldn't that be so what if you get to the like late first round and you decide, okay, we can go get Michael Penix and we're going to use because he's left-handed. So we're going to use our left tackle as trade bait to get extra draft capital.
Be careful what you say on the show. Twitter will blow up. Well, first Declan will clip it, throw it out on X, and then we will get flamed again.
Write this down.
I love it. Okay, Judd.
Brock Faber will finish in the top 3 of voting for the Calder Trophy as the NHL's Rookie of the Year.
All right.
They just for a reference point, they list the top 5. So you do get the voting for the top 5. He will finish in the top 3.
He is
for
my
Rookie of the
favorite
Year.
wild player for sure.
Boy. Sorry, I said that now.
Write this down.
All right.
Declan.
Dad joke.
I'm going to make a really weird Wolves prediction here, and it might be tough to be quantifiable, but I think we'll also know it when we see it. I'm writing this down. Timberwolves culture will be featured on a T-shirt by someone, either the team, Jake Graffs, somebody will make a Timberwolves culture T-shirt.
Well, we should do that, actually. Would that count? I suppose it would
Sure.
count.
Sure.
We should
If
do
you,
that.
If you want to do it, you'd be giving me a point, but
That's
someone's
fine.
going to make
Be worth
a Timberwolves culture T-shirt after the Wolves win in Miami with the Heat culture and a Heat culture in center court. The Wolves, Jake Graffs. Maybe I just gave a great idea to Jake Graffs. I don't know.
No, you gave it to us, dude. We sell T-shirts.
Or us. And that
So-
also works too. So if you want to give me the point with collusion here, that's totally fine. But the Timberwolves culture will be on a T-shirt. Write it down.
I think we're going to make that happen and get Dex a point.
Oh my
100%.
Awesome.
Write this down.
Okay, my second prediction. Let's go with this one. As the Wolves look in their rearview mirror here, I was skeptical on the scoop yesterday when he asked about like how far can the Grizzlies climb up with John Morant back last night. Well, he didn't miss a beat. He came in, scored like 34 points, had the game-winning basket. Told everyone he's been keeping receipts. It's like maybe you should just like keep the guns out of your Instagram live. Like let's just
you
do
caused
that.
your own problems, dude.
So just calm down there. So they are currently 6.5 games out of the 10th seed, which is the play-in. So the Suns right now are the play-in. I'm just going to say this. Write this down. At some point this regular season, the Grizzlies will emerge into the play-in. They'll get back to at least 10th place in the Western Conference standings. They'll have to hop the Jazz, the Warriors, and then somebody else that falls. But I think they're going to. They're going to get healthy. So Grizzlies,
Write this down.
keep an eye out. Brandon, what's your third and final prediction?
All right, I'm going to change it up. I have like 8 predictions, but it's not even on my board. The Timberwolves will win I don't even know what they call it in basketball. Super Bowl. I don't even know what they call it. I'm not a basketball fan.
A championship?
I don't- like
They
it's
call
at-
it the LOB, the Larry O'Brien
LOB.
Trophy. They're gonna win. They're gonna win an LOB.
All right, they'll win an LOB before the Minnesota Vikings win a Super Bowl. So,
This is another one that could, in theory, stay on the
And-
board for eternity.
Well, yes, but I will make an end date of like at least next year would be like the final year. So you have this
Okay.
year
Oh, wow.
and then next year. So
Okay.
Okay.
and I'm
So
not even a
end
Timberwolves
date
fan,
of-
and But all my coworkers are Timberwolves fans for the most part, so they're like, "Oh, Timberwolves are gonna be like going all the way." So I will make that prediction.
Fair
I
enough.
love it, man. Brandon coming out swinging here. Brandon, since you've got this life-changing platform right now and write that down, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that helped you get to this point?
Well, I want to thank you guys for the great content, and then I want to thank my parents for taking me to Vikings games and training camps. Sadly, I wasn't able to do like the Mankato training camp before I went to the new performance center. So, and then I also want to thank my fantasy team for not choking this week. I made it past. I'm in the quarterfinals. So.
Nice job.
So give a
Nice
shout out
job.
to my fantasy team.
Final.
All right, Brandon, good luck with your fantasy championship. Good luck with your predictions. We'll talk to you again sometime. All right, there he is. Guest listener, predictor, Brandon here. For people that missed out on the Mankato training camp, I feel like it was a good time, man. Much grungier, different time than the Egan training
Very
camp.
grungy. Very grungy.
A place that isn't grungy is Grand Ole Creamery.
Oh, yeah.
Now, most folks know that the Grand Ole Creamery has been iconic in the Twin Cities as a small batch, handcrafted, ultra premium ice cream parlor with over 300 flavors, 32 on hand at any given time at their St. Paul Grand Avenue location, Minneapolis Cedar Avenue locations. And just in time for the holidays, eggnog and winter wonderland flavors are also available for a limited time for you to stock up. That's at the Grand Avenue location only, those eggnog and winter wonderland flavors. Made in Minnesota, the taste of Grand Ole Creamery, 14% butterfat, locally sourced dairy. Find your nearest store also at grandolecreamery.com, grandolecreamery.com. If you spill some of that Grand Ole Creamery on your carpets, or if your house is just in need of a reset in January, perhaps, Zero Res is here to deep clean your house. All right, you're looking at man, I don't want to do this myself. It's just too daunting. Zero Res comes in here with the Score North Special, which is 3 rooms, 0 resified, starting at just $129. That's 3 rooms, 0 resified, $129, 952-0-RES, or zeroresminnesota.com. Say you want the Score North Special. Spell it forward or backwards. It spells the same, 0 res.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
Judd, final prediction.
All right. As I promised, I'm going out with a bang. I am going out with a major bang this week. Write this down. Anthony Edwards will win the Bill Russell Award this season. The Bill Russell Award goes to the MVP of the NBA Finals.
What?
Anthony
What?
Edwards will be the MVP of the NBA Finals.
Wow, dude. What?
Now can I talk about your team? Now can I talk about your team? That's right. The guy who has a Timberwolves garbage can, a Timberwolves notebook, Timberwolves bobbleheads.
You're not
Shout
allowed
out
to
Zach
talk
Levine.
about my team.
Shout out to my guy, Chauncey Billups. Guess what? Anthony Edwards is going to be the MVP of the NBA Finals.
Wow, dude. Wow. You can find Judd's Wolves takes on Flagrant Howls multiple days a week. That's Flagrant Howls, your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
Come at me. Come at me.
Holy cow. This guy right here. All right, Declan.
All right, I only have 2 cracks at this because the Wild only play 2 games. They play the Canadians tomorrow. They play the Bruins again on Saturday. Both games at St. Paul at the XL Energy Center. So I only have 2 cracks at this. But by next week's Write That Down, Kirill Kaprizov will have another multi-goal game. So he had a multi-goal game on Monday. He's gone through a ridiculous scoring slump. I think still only 4 even strength goals on the season. But Kirill, this was a coming out party. This was a getting over the slump party, finally, for Kirill Kaprizov. So, multi-goal game by next week's Write That Down.
All right. Welcome to the season, Kirill Kaprizov and other Wild players these last couple weeks. Okay, we like to make, Declan and I like to make wrestling predictions here from time to time. We're huge wrestling nerds. And there was a Sports Illustrated podcast, I think, that came out. So MJF is the best non-WWE wrestler in the world in terms of, like, just popularity, everything. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He's largely just kind of a weaselly heel personality. He's a good guy right now, but he's been alluding for years and years that, hey, 2024, my contract's up and I'm out of here. But then recently he's kind of hinted that his contract got renewed with AEW. And in this podcast, he essentially said, I am still unsigned. In January 1st, my contract is up. So write this down. Before the end of the Write That Down season, it will be reported that MJF did sign a new contract with AEW. He will not be making the jump this year to the WWE. But he will at some point off the record, and it'll be glorious. So it'll be reported at some point that he did sign a new contract before the end of the Write That Down season, which is the Super Bowl. So there you go, boys. Those are your Write That Down predictions, your accountability session here. The only show in America that actually puts statistics next to our predictions. It is Write That Down. Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd.